I know a lot of people in the e-commerce, drop shipping, Shopify, and there's a lot of people, dude, that I have zero respect for. There's just a lot of people that aren't the real deal. And you know, one thing about you is that you are the real deal.
Well, I've done maybe 20 million bucks in sales, maybe 25 tops. I don't even know the exact number. TikTok Shop has really changed the game for e-commerce like in a big way. I've never really deviated from what we do, but I mean, it's hard to ignore that opportunity. If you want to start a business, you got to ask yourself, what's the goal? People come to me with software ideas, with real estate deals that like I like, that they would do well, and I'd like to put money in it. I can't put my focus there because if I just do the thing I'm doing, I'm going to get to where I want to go, regardless of timeline or whatever. Like this will get me there. Anything else, distraction.
Welcome back to another episode of the Austin is Zaback show. Today we have Hayden Bowles on the show, and we're going to be talking about a lot of stuff today with Hayden. You know, Hayden is somebody who's at a very young age built a multiple seven-figure, if not eight-figure business, and in multiple other arenas as well. The guy is just absolutely dominating it, including real estate. And today I'm just going to give you a couple things that I want to talk to Hayden about, so make sure you stay to the very end. I want to talk about e-commerce, TikTok Shop. I want to talk about real estate. I want to talk about drop shipping. And I really want to just dive into how you've been able to do what you've been able to do at such a young age. Hayden, I appreciate you being on the show, man.
Hey, appreciate you having me.
Yeah.
It's been a while.
It has been a long time. When's the last time you think was it the Lambo?
We bumped into each other a while back at Optima.
Yep. Okay. I remember that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep. Other than that, it's been years.
It's insane. Yeah. You've been freaking living the dream, man. We got to talk about Puerto Rico too. We got a lot to dive into. Make sure you stay to the very end of the podcast. For those of you who don't know, Hayden Bowles actually bought my Lamborghini Huracan. When was that?
January 2019.
Wow.
I won't forget that.
Yeah.
You don't remember.
No, I don't remember, because that was your first exotic, right?
Yeah, that was the day I bought a car that I really had wanted for a long time.
Yeah, dude, and you freaking bought it in cash, if I remember correctly, and I think you got a pretty good deal on it too, right? Like, didn't it end up going way up in value right after that because of COVID and everything?
Yeah, I mean, I did a bunch of stuff to the car. You know, we did a full twin turbo build, so I lost a little on that, but apples to apples, I drove that car for 3-4 years. It's still worth the same.
Yeah. So crazy, man.
Yeah.
Well, dude, let's just dive into your backstory a little bit for people. And I know you have a huge YouTube audience, 300,000 subscribers, correct me if I'm wrong, ballpark. Congratulations on that. I'm trying to hit 100K right now. We're about there.
Let's do it.
Yep. So maybe we can do it this episode. But yeah, walk me through, like, I know at 17 years old, you're making like 50 grand a month, right? And then like 18, 19 years old, somewhere in that ballpark, I think it's up to 80, 100 grand a month potentially. And you've just had a lot of success at a young age. And when I've looked at you, Hayden, over the years, obviously I know a lot of people in the e-commerce, drop shipping, Shopify, Amazon, all that stuff, right? And there's a lot of people, dude, that I have zero respect for, right? And I'm not going to name names. But I've seen that industry, and there's just a lot of people that aren't the real deal. Sure. They look like they're the real deal. They act like they're the real deal. Perception is reality, right? And one thing about you is that you are the real deal. And I'm excited to break that down. So how did you get into this kind of e-commerce world to begin with?
Yeah, I mean, so to bring it all the way back, my backstory starts with like trying to day trade stocks when I was very young. Got my dad to open a custodial account with like $1,000 that I saved mowing lawns. So my background was just like attempting to make money. So whether that was mowing lawns and moving into the online stuff, eventually, someone told me like you can grow Instagram pages and make money. So that's where things started for me really at like 15, 16. So I started growing these motivational quote pages. We'd repost like luxury houses. We'd have car pages. So trying to figure out what would grow. And back then there was a lot of like random hacks in the algorithm, like tag every celebrity and, you'd triple your likes, just little stuff like that. So I was able to get, a handful of pages that had 50,000, 100,000, 200,000 followers and start very small to sell ad space. So eventually that led to a company that sold like charcoal teeth whitening stuff, which was like a new product at the time. And they kept buying over and over. And it was only like $50 for me, but I was like, why do you guys keep giving me money? It was a lot of money to me at the time. And the guy was cool. I don't know if he was the manager or the owner or whatnot, but he kind of explained it. He's like, hey, every time we pay you like $70, we make over 1,000. And I'm just like that was the explosion in my head, but still didn't know what it was, how to do it. So kept running those pages for a while. I was still attending school. Somehow at that point convinced my very school-oriented parents, who I love to death, to let me switch to online school. And that was, that's a big move for a kid to no longer attend school in person. So I proceeded to then hire somebody on Upwork to complete my online school for me for $65 a week, which was about 30% of the money I was making at the time. But, I never liked school. I wasn't good at it. So it really gave me the time and like just the clear headspace of not doing something I really disliked to go focus on the business. So over like the next 8 months, I'm going to take the money I had and try to travel, meet people doing e-commerce. But that really led to me building my first store that ended up working, which led to a second store, which shortly thereafter led to a YouTube channel just to talk about everything I was doing, which pretty quickly blew up because there wasn't a lot of people talking about it at the time. So that then led into other stuff. But yeah, that was, up until 17, it was good. We were doing about 55,000 a month net at 17.
Wow. Yeah. What were some of the initial products that you were selling, like on that first and second store that you were talking about?
It was mostly dog products. So the big one back then was the LED dog collar.
And then where did that evolve from there? Like, where do you go from there? I mean, do the products just eventually fizzle out at that time? And then what kind of happened? How did that kind of start to, obviously now you're building your YouTube channel, you're talking about stuff on the internet. I think at one point you get into coaching and you get into, helping other people probably do it too, right? And then where does it kind of go from there?
Yeah. The thing we found out with the Instagram pages is you can only post so many times and it's usually less than 10 before you kind of kill that audience. You still make a sale, but it's just dollars to dollars, diminishing return. So we struggled with that. We really tried to move towards paid ads. That was like what I was trying to do. Eventually figured out Facebook, but these products would still eventually fizzle out. And then with Facebook, you'd have constant issues. You're not being assigned a rep. You're not violating any policy, but it gets triggered in their AI. So you get shut down for no reason. And that was, and still has been, a constant battle. So that's kind of where things went, but the YouTube channel continued to grow. I always led from the point of trying to make videos for the younger version of me. Like, what were the questions I was searching for? And that was all like e-commerce to start. It was like how to, plug in this template on your Shopify store. Very specific. It might not get a lot of views, but those 400 people are really specific people. So people started reaching out like, hey, can you teach me? Can you do this? That led into me doing like consulting calls for $50 an hour. And then, okay, maybe I need to like build a program like these other guys do it. So I just recorded everything that I do. And that led into a lot of stuff. People saying, hey, can I give you half the business? And they're making like $1,000 a month. So there's nothing there, but like, can you help me grow it and I'll fund it? So there's a lot of different things we've tried over the years. But the thing that always seemed to stick and do the best was just ideally coaching with people who already have something going. It's a lot easier for someone who's experienced to go into a business that's making money, implement one or two tweaks that just change everything versus trying to get something new off the ground.
Sure.
So we do work with a lot of people that are just starting from scratch, but there's a lot of content on my YouTube for that.
Yeah. How has the industry evolved over time? Like, talk to me now, catch me up to speak. Like, where is the industry now? Because I know it's evolved quite a bit, right? I mean, we go from everybody and their mom drop shipping to now. I feel like what are the differences, I guess?
Yeah, I'd say the biggest thing is a lot of the players that you saw back then on the content space, they don't really post content anymore. And if they have, they've like pivoted to something else. And that was always a little weird to me. Like, how does a real estate expert stop talking about real estate? How does an e-commerce expert stop talking about that? If that's like your business, your life, that's what you spent 5 years doing, that just never made sense to me. And, after having really become friends with, I know 90% of the people that are there or know of them very well. And so most of those people at some point, some have never had an e-commerce business. They just teach it. Classic. A lot of them had early success. They had a store or two, and then the coaching becomes more lucrative, which you can't deny. It definitely can be. But they end up stop doing e-commerce. They kind of stopped that side of things. And so you saw a lot of those people get into the crypto space when that blew up, and then NFTs, and they go back to e-commerce. Now it's TikTok Shop. So, a lot of new stuff has come out. Like TikTok Shop has really changed the game for e-commerce, like in a big way.
Yeah.
Like ours included, because I've never really deviated from what we do. But it's hard to ignore that opportunity. It's doing really well for us right now.
Sure. What are the majority of people doing right now? Like, I know, and we'll dive into it more in a minute, but you obviously have your own supplement company now, and we'll talk more about that. But your average guy out there, right, that we see kind of on the internet, I feel like you're, and I could be totally wrong, but when I look at the industry still, I feel like most people don't have their own product. Like they don't have their own thing that they've created their own recipe and they've figured out, logistics and everything. Like, aren't a lot of people still just white labeling or drop shipping other people's products? Is that still a thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
And the reason is a couple things. It doesn't cost as much money to start. It's much faster and you can test things quicker because of that. So I actually say, like, if I was starting something over from scratch and the goal is to, in as short of a time frame as possible, make money, I'd find some random hard good product that I could sell. Like back when fidget spinners were a thing, like, okay, there's a new version of a fidget spinner that also shoots like a little dart, like a little funny, Nerf bullet thing. great, it's going viral. Like little stuff like that where you can source it for super cheap, $2, $3, $4, but sell it for 20. You have a great margin. I have a guy right now in the coaching group. He's been doing like 30 to 40,000 a week for a while, selling these like Joe Biden prank mailers. So you send it to a Republican, they get it in the mail. It's like, I don't know if you've seen them, but they're going really viral. Yeah. And then everything just happened with Trump, in the shooting. He quickly spun up some print on demand stuff. And a lot of people did this, a t-shirt with the photo. First day, 10,000, second day, 12,000, really high margin, So like there's opportunity that you can capitalize on quicker with these products that they're not yours. You didn't make it. You're buying them from China or wherever. So there's a lot of that still happens. And I don't think that'll ever go away.
Yeah. Talk to me like I'm an idiot for a second. And I really am an idiot when it comes to this type of stuff. How come that is even possible, right? Like, why wouldn't the consumer just go to Alibaba or wherever and buy the product for $3 or $4? Like, why? How is it that in 2024, with all the information in the world, you can still find a product for $3 or $4, like you mentioned, and sell it for $20? Like, how's that even possible?
If I had to give a one-word answer, I would say trust. And TikTok Shop has done a great job of becoming like Amazon in terms of the trust factor. You're not going to get scammed on there. Like TikTok is extremely restrictive on their rules for sellers. Like you have to have the order sent out and scanned in by USPS within 2 business days. And if you have, a certain seller cancellation rate or bad, review rate or too many refund requests, like all this can greatly impact you. And trust me, like they are very heavy on the hammer to just kick people out. Really? Like it's quick. So, I think they've kicked a lot of the people out, all the riffraff out of the space, which has really helped customers to have a good experience. The fact that it's a social media platform and they don't have to leave it. We used to run ads. This is what I would do since, honestly, since Facebook shut us down right as COVID hit, is I just pivoted right to TikTok. And so we'd run TikTok ads and we'd be pulling people off the platform to a Shopify store. I mean, it's like now there's 4 buttons involved. It's just dropping your conversion rate. So with TikTok, the conversion rate's insane because they stay there. It's a 1-page checkout, So I'd say that trust factor has been a big thing. And to be honest, I mean, I don't think I've really ever seen an ad or a video for something I want with a product on there and I thought to go look at it elsewhere. People kind of want that one that they saw from that brand. Yeah. So that's definitely a big piece of it.
That's so true. Yeah. You want it right then and there. Right, like your average American or really anybody in the world, they're not going to take the time. They don't have the time. They're scrolling right then and there. They're like, I like that vacuum. I think I'm going to buy that. Right, and I'm going to buy it right now. I'm not going to go do a bunch of research on it. Right. So talk to me about and for anybody watching, if you were brand new, you were just getting started today, right? But you had you have all the knowledge that you've accumulated over time, right? But for whatever reason, all your money went away tomorrow, all your stuff, everything was gone, right? And you had the knowledge, but you had to start over tomorrow. What would you do?
I mean, right now, I'd definitely be doing something on TikTok. It's not hard to go viral and get views. If you actually had no money, you can become an affiliate for other people's products. You make 20, 30, 40% of every sale you make. But again, it's not like you're out there like as an actual affiliate, which we've both been at some point. It's like, that's hard. You're closing deals like this. You're just making videos and they can and do go viral. So you could use that to get a couple grand and then go start your own TikTok shop now knowing how to do the content. Sure. So it's an easier startup, and TikTok Shop scares a lot of people away because you need US-based inventory. Otherwise, you can't meet the fulfillment requirement. It's just almost impossible. So to do that, though, it scares people off because that's expensive. Well, is it? Let's break it down. If you want to start a dropshipping store, it's at least a couple $1,000 in ads, testing products. And if it doesn't work, that money's gone. Yep. Right. But on TikTok, if you're very careful, you select a product, just start with one product. Well, like my worst case on there, which has happened, I started a random store with a physical product. It didn't do well. What did I do? I lowered the price a lot and it just slowly sold, right? Just like a bad Amazon listing, if you will. It's still going to sell slowly. We just dropped the price a lot. I was still making a small profit, but you can get rid of that inventory and recoup the money. So that's what I would do.
What are some of the most viral products that you see right now? I'm sure it's difficult, right? But I watched a couple of your YouTube videos. There's one website in particular where it gives you a lot of analytics on.
Yeah, Callow Data.
Data, right? What are some of the most sellable products, if that's the right word, right? Where you really see, you look back and you see all the influencers out there that, and like you would say, these 3 kind of, and maybe even it's like a niche of a product. Like you said back in the day, it was like dog products, right? Yeah. Is there certain niches that just tend to do really good?
Yeah, I mean, the health and wellness space has become huge on TikTok. People wanting the more like organic, like local stuff, like that sort of feel. People trying to be a little more health conscious has become a big thing. So those just dominate the top ranks of products, they do 5 million a month, 10 million a month on TikTok.
Really?
Yeah.
Any type of health product, pretty much.
Pretty much. I mean, that's the top, like 6 out of 10 is something to do with that.
Yeah.
You have a lot of beauty products for women. Women shop a lot on TikTok. So
do you see any of these women? It's funny because my fiance will watch this. She's also my creative director. And I tell her all the time, I'm like, because I follow these girls, right? That they do like interior design.
Yeah.
But they're not like interior designers, but like they have TikToks and Instagrams where they have millions of followers, and they just decorate their house all day. Like they friggin' put a bunch of stuff on their shelf and they just link it all.
Yep.
Or they get new bar stools and they link it all, and the videos go viral. I mean, I'm talking like 10 million views, like, just stupid virality, right? And I'm like, and they show the numbers, like these girls show the numbers, like they make like 300 grand in a day. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, this is ridiculous. Like I'm in the wrong. I tell my fiance all the time, I'm like, you should do that. Like I'll support it. Like,
I've told a few people the same thing.
Yeah.
But like, it's also, we talked about this before the podcast. It's one of those roller coaster businesses, and it's like, okay, how scalable is it? And that can make sense to do for a period of time. But again, then you can kind of get trapped in a cycle.
Yeah.
Everybody's been there who's built businesses. Like you get kind of in a flywheel with something where there's no clear path to scale, but you're making good money, but you'd have to sacrifice that to go, it's still a risk, a lot of things like that.
Yeah.
So I see that happening a lot with these creators, but you can't deny that it's pretty easy money.
Yeah.
So.
Talk to me about like the faceless stuff, right? I've seen a couple of your videos about, some of these videos, you don't even need to be in them. I mean, I watched one girl, she's talking about TikTok Shop, and she's like, you can use AI now. You can record your voice, right? Plug it into AI. It'll actually be your voice, but you're not the one talking and you're not in the video at all. And it's just like a video that can go viral and you can sell products without even, filming yourself.
Yeah, there's a lot of faceless stuff. There's AI content. There's people just showing the products without showing their face. That's really popular on TikTok for live streams.
Got it.
So TikTok's trying to introduce more of what they're doing in Korea and just all throughout the Asian countries is they're trying to do like live stream selling. And so they're pushing those really hard. And so you'll see most live streamers don't actually show their face. They're just showing the product and they talk about it for hours. It makes really good money.
And they do well?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's been interesting trying to build a whole network of these creators because you got to reach out to them, get them on board, and get them to be willing to promote your product, especially if you're new on TikTok Shop. They can see how many sold, what your reviews are. It's a harder sell if something's brand new.
Yeah.
It's like, really building out the team for that, building out the team that can then manage the communication, manage the outreach, and like getting that on, like for this company, we just brought on a bookkeeper and we have a graphic designer and okay, now there's an affiliate manager. It's like trying to fill these roles where in the beginning, I was the one doing all of these things, including customer support through the TikTok messaging. Like I've never been that hands-on, but again, like I was trying to get out of that flywheel of just random products that do well. And then something, whatever it might be, ends up happening that just tanks it.
Yeah.
I was just tired of that because it was money. And, over time I, set most of that money aside and most of that went into real estate, but like, you're not going to stay on this hamster wheel forever.
No, you can't.
Yeah.
I mean, I suppose you could, but you'd probably hate your life.
Yeah, it just,
eventually.
It becomes boring. So I can do something that's very similar. It still takes the skill set, just do it a little differently.
Sure. Yeah. What would you recommend that everybody try to do that eventually, that everybody eventually try to get their own product off the ground, their own thing, their own whatever it might be? And, or do you think there's people out there that should just not white label, but buy products on wherever, Alibaba, whatever, mark them up and go that route?
Yeah, it just depends. I mean, if you want to start a business, you got to ask yourself, what's the goal? Like there was nothing wrong with that option, like of what I had done for years and years and years. And most people do that, right? But you get to a point where like, I want to build something. And for this supplement company in particular, like I want our own US operations, our fulfillment in-house that we control. I want a place that also does that where all the employees can go. We can do content there. We can have a full commercial gym, parking for my cars, office space, like a fun spot. Because I've wanted to build a warehouse for myself personally, like full trampoline park, skate park, commercial gym. I don't like other people in the gym. Like, it gets all busy and stuff.
Yep.
Like, it's just like, I want my space. And so I could do that and have a huge ops center behind it with like 10 to 20,000 square feet for fulfillment with a few loading bays and have everything run in one place.
Yeah.
Makes for a better write-off and be fun.
Yeah. So talk to me a bit about your, health and wellness product that you have now, right? What types of different products do you have? How long have you been doing it? How has that kind of process all gone?
Yeah. I mean, it's been active for like the last 4 months, just slow and steady growth each month. good reviews on the products. Main thing's been creatine. We have 3 new products dropping here in the next week. That's a branched chain amino acid powder and then 2 different types of collagen.
Got it.
So just hitting some stuff on the market with like slightly new variations with some added ingredients, that builds off the stuff that's already selling really well.
Sure. So. And what was the process of getting into that, right? I mean, like, is it, like people think it is, like I got to call manufacturers in China and like what's that process kind of look like on the front end there?
Yeah, I would have never been able to start the business if I didn't have the manufacturer connection that's local here in Arizona.
Got it.
So it's a friend, it's someone that other friends use, and we were able to partner and do some stuff. We paid upfront for some equipment to make sure we have like our own section of the manufacturing,
Sure.
so we wouldn't have production issues, stuff like that.
Yeah. Talk to me about, have you ever dabbled in any of the other stuff that we've seen people dabble in, right? Like the Walmart, the Amazon, the automation stuff, like what, or have you just really stayed in the lane of, Shopify and that type of thing?
Dude, I'm like the most in my lane that like anybody can get. I don't really like to deviate. I think a lot of people, and I've watched this early on in my career, they get plagued by, their own curiosity and their own, I think I can do this better because I had one thing work over here. And it might be true, but people take a lot of these lateral movements that don't really get them anywhere and it just wastes time.
Yeah.
Especially in the e-commerce space, it naturally attracts younger people typically. That's who a lot of the figures are in the space. They're usually at least 30 or younger. And you have a lot of these kids that are 15 to 20 in there too, which is, again, where I started. But then there's also the figures in there. And I watch the people who maybe they have a good store, they start teaching others. They get a Lambo, they get super egotistical. They're partying every single night. I can name a dozen of them right now. Then they start doing illegal stuff like MMR and all this different crap that they're doing on Ecomm. Like at some point that might be jail time if, anybody ever ends up caring, because all these guys are making, $500,000 to $2 million a month, but it's not actually enough money for them to like really get thrown in jail for. And they usually just fly under the radar. So I see a lot of these people like shoot themselves in their foot big time. It kills their long-term to do all this short-term shenanigans. And I see that all the time. So for me, I've always just been like, all right, what's working? Mm-hmm. What's logical?
Yeah.
I'm not really into risk. Everything I do is very conservative. That's probably why I'm more of a real estate guy with conservative debt structures. Long-term, just buy it, let it sit. My business is cash flow heavy. I set it aside. We don't use debt. It's just very like to the point.
Yeah.
And now I'm in a position where like we can try stuff and we can lose money. We can, buy really expensive training programs and consulting for the team and try to grow the skills and like take those swings. And most of them don't work, but some do. Mm-hmm. So that's been a big thing. And, we're branching out this brand into other platforms, but that's because it's working.
Right.
And a lot of people put their attention on that. Like, I can probably make the same 50 grand a month over here and maybe more. It's like, but dude, you already have something that's done the hard part. It's easier to go from 50 to 250 a month than it is to go from 0 to 50. We all know that's true.
Yep.
Especially in a new industry. So it just never made sense to me. I think it's people that they want to, sound cool on social media or I have 3 different businesses or all this stuff. It's like, dude, that's usually, there's exceptions like, Elon Musk, whatever, but it's usually not the right case.
Yeah. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Why do you think in your situation, you typically do better without a partner?
That's a good question. You don't, a lot of people use it to like lean on them, but I think most partnerships happen, and some of mine were as well, just somebody to split the workload with. Mm-hmm. Nobody was necessarily coming in with a skill that somebody else didn't have or money that someone else didn't have. It was usually just like, let's just split up the workload, which like never really works super well.
Yeah.
You can make money with it, but I'm like, I don't know, I treat it more seriously when it's mine,
mm-hmm.
Yeah. And like everything's on you.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think I could agree with that. I have partners in almost every company that I run, but our companies, they're a lot different though, and in a lot of my companies, my partners actually do bring a skill that I don't have in almost every case, which I think is the only time that it actually makes sense to partner, right?
Yeah.
Like to your point, I wouldn't just partner with somebody.
You could bring in an operator, mm-hmm. If a partner could be an operator, if you're bringing in capital or something else, like, that's always been something where like anything that I'm putting my time and money into, like I want to be involved.
Yeah.
Like I've never funded a business that, I'm going to get a piece of, but somebody else runs. Actually, ironically, I say that like this week I'm sending out a wire for a company that I am investing into pre-Series A. They're raising tens of millions. Cool concept. Can't talk about what it is, but like that is the first time I'm doing something like that. And it's because I believe in the company and the people that are behind it. But like with any other thing I've ever seen, it doesn't make sense for me. For me, like I want to be there, control it, make sure it works, because I've had plenty of projects fail. Mm-hmm. Last year, 70 grand a piece, me and a friend trying something that just didn't work.
Yep.
Like $0 return for both of us after paying the team. So it's like, that just flopped.
Yeah.
is what it is.
What was it? Can you talk about it?
It was a newsletter.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's like a media company that we're trying to start through a newsletter. But at the end of the day, it's like, okay, how much can we really make from this? The growth of it was good, but like still slower than we thought. Like it would have taken, we averaged it out about 4.5 years to get to the point where we're even like both making anywhere near what we were already making with our other stuff.
Sure.
Makes no sense.
Yeah.
So we kind of have it running. It breaks even. Two of the employees run it. Who knows? Maybe it becomes something someday. I doubt it.
Yeah, for sure. But it's a great point, though, right? That you're trying to make. What is the goal with like the Shopify and all that? Like now that you are where you are. We're talking a little bit before the show, right? Is it to eventually get the e-commerce stuff like to first form level? Is it to just kind of like, what's like the big picture for you in that particular world?
Yeah. I've never had a large exit on anything because nothing's ever really like been worth something substantially. Just a random e-commerce store is only worth so much. So I don't know if I'd like to go the exit route. I think I would. But for right now, at least the 3 to 5 years, let's build a sick company with a real culture, with a real facility, partnering with a lot of creators, and just do it right.
Yeah.
Like a real long-term sustainable thing. And if we sell it, great. I'm having so much fun doing this, even though I'm working like 3 full-time jobs right now is what it's like. Mm-hmm. Like, you have seasons where you're kind of working and you're not, like stuff kind of runs. Like right now it's 12 to 14 hours every day. It's a little bit of an overload. There's a lot going on and I like it.
Yeah.
Like I don't mind working all day with just a break for the gym. You definitely suffer in other areas with relationships and travel and whatnot, mm-hmm. but it is what it is. And I'm enjoying the process, but now I'm starting to slowly get things off my plate, but then stuff keeps getting added.
Yeah.
Kind of in that stage right now, but yeah, the goal is just to build it long-term and probably have that exit. Cause when I look at it while I'm having fun and, my expenses are covered with my other stuff. And, at the end of the day, I'm still doing this for money,
mm-hmm.
And you hear a lot of people like they make a little bit of money and then they're like, oh, doing it for this reason or that reason. I feel like until you're really at a substantial level of money, like you're still at some level doing it for money.
For sure.
And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I'd love to know what it's like to have a business you're trying to build where like the money really isn't even a thought.
Yeah.
It's not a thing, and I think that's what maybe this one could do. This would probably be in that ballpark of like tens of millions as an exit, would be really solid, I don't think it's going to 9 figures. We'll see. I don't know.
Yeah, you never know.
But this is more so looking for like, all right, how do we get that like 10 to 40?
Yeah. Which would be really cool. Yeah. And that would probably unlock whatever would follow that.
Correct. Right? And that's the thing, and it would also unlock the focus with an exit. I know a few people have sold e-commerce, very specific businesses close to this one. And they're all like, well, I somewhat regret selling it because I could have scaled it knowing what I know now and like made more, but they were so burned out having been in the weeds and like been involved. They were tired of it until like 6 months after they sold it. Right. And then once you're rejuvenated. So, it's tough, but they also say, well, I don't regret it because it was a life-changing check. You've been making money along the way, but to have liquidity at once, even if it's just a majority exit, not all of it, like as a real estate guy, that sounds enticing.
Yeah.
Okay. Cause I never have cash. All my stuff's just gone to deals over the years. So it's like, damn, it sounds nice to have, a $10 million liquid 20 mil that I can go place over the next year or two.
Yeah, for sure. I'm in the same boat.
It'd just be so fun. Like I love capital management. It's been like a really fun thing for me.
Yeah. So. It's a lot of fun. Yeah. No, I'm right there with you. And I'm a real estate guy too. I can't remember what it was the other day. Somebody wanted me to invest in something. I'm like, dude, I don't have a lot of dry powder. You know what I mean? Like, nope. I don't know what to tell you. Like I gotta, either make more money or sell some stuff or, whatever. But like, and then there's a certain amount of money you have to have in your
you need a base.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm right there. Like, I don't want to, I'm not going any lower than I am right now. Like, I'm not investing. It was a good deal. I was like, I wanted to get in on the deal,
Yeah. I've been like, my purposeful movement the last like 6 months is, all right, let me stack up some liquidity because I know I'm going to need it. Like either for something, there's going to be an opportunity or like for growing the supplement business, like we're going to need cash. So I've been stacking it up, much above my comfort level of where I normally have cash. But now this investment into that company brings me just below the threshold. Yeah. So I'm like, all right, I'm still willing to do it. We need to grab some cash here a little bit,
Yep.
So.
Yeah, for sure. Talk to me about the real estate a little bit, right? So over the course of time, and again, going back to what I said a little while ago in really, identifying what separates you, in my opinion, just from outside looking in compared to everybody else in your industry, this is another thing, right? Like, you took a lot of the money you made along the way and you put it into real estate. And I think, very few people that I know, follow, or have seen have managed their money the right way and parked it. I mean, I've seen a lot of people that have claimed or maybe potentially made, millions, maybe tens of millions doing Shopify, Amazon, just e-commerce, like the whole thing, right? And they haven't saved any money. Like like you said a little while ago, they buy Lamborghinis, they buy GTRs, they buy Ferraris, Porsches.
And they also don't know how to buy the cars right, so you lose a lot of money on the car. But you said it yourself. You've seen people make that mistake of capital management. I did too. That's why we have managed our capital correctly.
Yeah.
Right. So it's taking you can learn what to do and also what not to do from people. You know what I mean? That old saying. But yeah, I mean, to talk about the real estate, you got to look at, how much you're actually making from the business. So if somebody says they made, $10 million from e-commerce, well, I've done maybe 20 million bucks in sales, maybe 25 tops. I don't even know the exact number. Most of that had a partner on it. Yeah. Right. So that's half. Our margin when we were running Facebook was usually a lot lower. So we weren't making 30, we're making 15 to 25%. So on 25 million, I probably walked out personally with 3 million. Now out of that, we probably each kept $500,000 in the business to try new stores that constantly failed, always trying new stuff. Okay. That's 2.5. 2.5, you got taxes on that. Ouch. And that's over many, many years. Then you got living costs. I've never spent crazy money, especially compared to my income. I'm really, I don't want to say cheap, frugal, whatever, like conservative with it. So you're always living on, I'm like 100 to 130 a year. There's been years where it's been a little more, but that's my range. And, okay, so how much does that leave you with, from that business? And there's other stuff too, but I've always just been like, all right, how do we get this to the point where there's money being kicked off from investments to at least cover, what I spent? Sure. That whole idea of covering your expenses. But yeah, I mean, that's been a big thing of just noticing people not save their money. I've watched people throw it into a meme coin and lose 200 grand in a day. I'm like, and they laugh about it, but it's like, dude, you have 800. Yeah. That might not seem like a lot because you have on the money. Dude, you just lost 30% of your money.
Of your literal net worth.
Wow.
Right.
And some people like the swings. We have friends here who did e-commerce, then they hit it big with crypto. Now they're doing something else. I didn't because I just didn't know it well enough. I couldn't control it. I couldn't touch it. So yeah, that kind of leads us into real estate. Yeah.
But, when did you buy your first deal?
I was 19. It was, must have been September of 2019. I bought a house. October, November, like a month or two later, I bought another house. And another month later, I bought a duplex in Tempe. Okay. Half a mile off Mill.
All in Arizona in the beginning?
Yep. 2 houses in Gilbert, one house, one duplex in Tempe.
Nice. Yeah. I love it. And then at what point did you buy the big multifamily and kind of start dabbling in some of the bigger projects?
Yeah. So, when I bought those first 2 houses in duplex, I didn't really know much. I had a good agent and good property management. So I just kind of watched how performance was. Duplex kept performing better. It's the same price as the houses, but you got two units. Yeah. So, okay, we need to go more into multifamily. My agent wasn't really multifamily at the time. So I started learning about it, bought a 4-plex, bought another one, bought a 6-unit. Eventually that led to, some syndication deals, meeting people. I spent, 2020 to 2022 really learning real estate. When I say that, it's not like just listening to podcasts, like traveling all around the world, paying 30 grand a year to be in a group that meets up 3 times a year, becoming like very close personal friends with people that have $100 to $400 million portfolios. Some that self-funded over 20 years, they slowly grow the equity. Others that raised it in the last 5, like really learning every aspect of the game. And then must have been the end of 2022, that's when I bought that 48 unit, which actually was a deal that came out of a group that I was paying a lot of money to be in. Wow. Yeah, seller is actually an interesting situation. You might know Tim Bratz.
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Tim's a good friend, owned about 4,500 units. They've been selling and restructuring some stuff. But basically, he was the loan sponsor for a guy that totally flopped on this 48 unit. So Tim's team had to step in. He was looking to offload it. They were busy with other stuff. So I came in and said, okay, we'll come in. We'll take over the loan. So we bought the entity, the LLC, that owned the debt. The ownership structure never changed on the debt, so we didn't have to let the bank know because Tim's still a partner, kept them on as a small piece. And we had to come in for about 35% because we had to make up that gap between the loan and the sale price. Sure. Right? So we had to come with a little bit more money down. It's about 1.4 million, 1.2 down. We raised 1.4. And I came in for about 25% of that and then raised the rest from a few people.
Got it.
So
how's that deal been going?
It's been going well. Good. That was a long-term cash flow play. Yep. And at the time, 2021, 22, rates were still good. Everybody's like, all the syndicators are getting aggressive with stuff. And I was close to an 88 unit in San Antonio that was going to be a 2-year bridge loan with a 1-year extension. Dude, I'd be getting pinched right about now. Like I was just, especially if it's not my money, you can't play around.
No, you can't.
And while I had money in the deal, there was $1.05 million from other people. That's a big deal. Now, one of those guys makes $110 million a year on Amazon. Great. But like, what am I, lose his money? No. Because like, I'd feel the responsibility to have to pay that back. I don't want to do that. So I bought a property that was super conservative, 3.6% interest rate. We still have a 7-year note on it. Yep. Interest only in the first year that we had it. It was really nice. So we're sitting on it. It's cash flowing well. Everything's going good.
Do you need to renovate the units or anything? What's the long-term plan with that?
It was a light value add. We've already done all the units.
Have you?
There's like, we did parking lot, couple external projects. The only thing left is the decks. It's a 48 unit, 16 units are like half below ground, a little weird, kind of garden style. We've had some separate flooding issues too, which has been interesting.
Yeah.
But so there's like 36 decks that all need to be replaced. We knew that when we went in. So that's the only outstanding project that's not urgent. So
what's the game plan with real estate? Like, what is your goal? You talk about knowing people that, have $100 to $400 million, portfolios, and I like that you mentioned actually, because I've thought a lot about this in my career. Some people, long period of time, slow and steady wins the race, self-funded everything, Dave Ramsey style, if you will, right? And then you've got, the Grant Cardones, raise a bunch of capital, OPM, build it really fast, right?
Yeah.
What's kind of the goal? I mean, because you own 65 total doors now?
Something
give
like
or take. Okay.
Yeah.
So, as you continue to go, I mean, you talked a little while ago about being conservative, right? You like real estate because it is safe, it's conservative. I'm the same way. How big do you want to go with all that?
Yeah, I mean, the goal would be to continue to scale it as much as my income allows.
Yeah.
So, my cash, when I have it, like, what am I going to do with it? I would like to build an equities portfolio, just stocks and general index, to have that be like 20, 30%, just to have access to cash quicker if you needed it. But I have never been able to justify when I get, 400,000 sitting or 500,000. It's like, what am I going to go buy stocks when there's a deal here? Like, no, I know real estate and I know it so well. And I've gone through every single part. Like, I sold a property I didn't want to sell just to do a 1031 to learn what the paperwork was like and learn the process. Like, I've done every single point. I did a flip when I didn't want to flip the property to learn it. I've done every single thing once. And I did that on purpose. I'd experience the board.
Yeah.
And so for me, I could see that just as I make money in my business career, which is what I like to do. I like running businesses. I like very conservative cash flowing businesses. I'm just going to take that money and put a majority of it into real estate. But I would, as I start to make more money, God willing, I would definitely like to definitely keep buying more real estate, build that equities portfolio, and build a car collection. I'd like to have some stuff that you actually buy and tuck away for forever.
Yeah.
But part of the real estate thing too that I really want to do, I want to build a building that would basically be a homeless encampment where, I've had a lot of good and bad experiences with homeless people, but it's always been something that kind of tugs at me. I think there's a lot of good people out there that kind of got stuck in a bad situation. And while there's a lot of bad ones, and I've met them too, like, I paid for a hotel before and the guy stole the TV, the mini fridge, I had to pay for all that. Like, it happens. I feel like if you had a clean spot that was policed with security and had resources for people to get help, where there's no drugs, no alcohol, none of that allowed in there at all. If you see that, you're out. Like, really helping people get back on their feet, and knowing real estate and being able to go build a facility for that would help me do it cheaper.
Yeah, that'd be really cool.
That's just another little side thing on it that could hopefully come from real estate. But yeah,
that'd be a lot of fun, man. When you buy deals, do you typically look projecting into the future, assuming you continue to just make cash, right? Do you ever buy deals with the sole intent of just, hey, I don't want to pay any taxes? Talk to me a little bit about taxes, right? Because I think, a lot of entrepreneurs struggle with taxes. I've certainly made the mistake many times. I've made the mistake in both directions. I've made the mistake of, I've paid way too much taxes in my life. I guess that's the biggest one, right?
Yeah.
And I'm 29 years old. I just told my fiance this year, I said, I'm not paying any taxes anymore. I said, I'm done. I said, we're good, whatever we got to do, because I'm tired of freaking writing that check, man. So when you buy deals, do you ever have that goal in mind, or?
It's a factor. It has to be.
Yeah.
Because I qualify as a real estate professional. And now we, on the topic of taxes, we get into the topic of Puerto Rico, which we can hit on. But you could go buy a deal that needs a little bit left to raise, where you only put in, $200,000, but you get, $1.5 million worth of depreciation because the other people don't need it. There's unique structures like that. But then you're in the whole game of depreciating yourself to zero, which, if it's in syndications, is eventually going to get realized outside of your control on the timeline. There's a lot of factors like that. But my real estate up until now, that's been a thought. It's been a main thing, but it's never been the core reason to buy a deal.
Sure.
But it's definitely been a big piece of it. Now, when I was in Puerto Rico for 3 years, running and operating my business out of there, the e-commerce and the consulting with the YouTube and all that stuff, affiliate, I could not take advantage of my depreciation against that income, right? Because they're separated. So now, whatever the ruling is, it's different there. Plus, I was only paying 4% on the business, so that was awesome. But, I made the decision to come back. Now, a lot of that depreciation I was able to roll forward. So I have a lot hanging over our head that I can use, but I'm still going to pay some tax.
Yeah.
And then the year after that's going to suck. And it's going to suck more because I hope to make more. But yeah, I mean, I made the move, end of 2020 to move to Puerto Rico. I had come off of a rough season with right when, COVID hit, getting shut down on Facebook. I had, it's going to sound stupid, 26 different e-commerce stores open with 2 different partners that were living with me, helping run a bunch of these. A lot of them, they weren't watching stuff properly. This one's spending $1,000 a day on ads. This one's spending $1,500. Nobody checked it for 4 days. Why? Like, I wasn't able to oversee it. We scaled horizontally way too quick. I was burning 10 grand a day for about 2 months. It hurt.
Yeah.
Like, it took out a lot of my cash. And then the main cash cow that I had just got wiped out when Facebook shut us down. So it was really a blow. It took me a little while to recover from that. And the thought process with moving to Puerto Rico was I can recover faster and I can also just not pay taxes. Because by the time I'd kind of recovered from that one, well, now the tax bill from the previous year that was really great is due. So it's like a double kick. And there's a separate thing where one of those guys spent $242,000 on an Amex Gold card because I had a stack of them for each different ad account. Basically spent it on Facebook ads for one of his own stores that he had kind of clone copied from one of mine. Couldn't, reconcile the difference in the bookkeeping. Eventually figured out what it was, figured out it was his. He didn't have any money, tried to do a chargeback with Amex. That goes through until it doesn't, and they reverse it the day after Christmas when I'm trying to spend time with family. It's like right as I'm getting kicked in the teeth a few times after this, it hurt.
Yeah.
So I made that decision to move to Puerto Rico. And I lived there for 3 years. The goal was 3 to 5. At the end of the day, like, it just, you can't sacrifice where you live. Some people love it down there. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just not my style.
Yeah.
It's very far out of the way. You also can't hire the talent you want. That was a big piece. There's no collaborations really happening. There's a lot of pros, a lot of cons.
Talk to me about what that was like mentally, right? Going blow after blow after blow, from making a lot of money to being kind of, because I think this is powerful, right? Like almost everybody, Hayden, that I've had sit in that chair or in my other chair before we built the new set, everybody that I've had on the show has made a lot of money for the most part, right? And they all have in common, they've all at some point in their life lost pretty much everything or a big portion of what they built and then rebuilt it all again. I don't know why, but almost every successful person I know at some point has like taken massive blow after massive blow and then rebuilt it, right?
Yeah.
And mentally that can be really hard. We look at, entrepreneurs, we live off of kind of the highs and like, it can be emotionally being an entrepreneur can be difficult, right? So talk to me about how that was going in your world when you dealt with all of that and how did you overcome it?
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that happened. I mean, also in that time, my Instagram account got hacked and was not able to be recovered. So, okay, poof, there goes, 50% of the income for all the personal brand side of things, which was substantial at the time. I mean, that probably knocked out $500,000 a year, $400,000 or $500,000 in revenue. So there's stuff like that hurt. It was kind of blow after blow. What I did notice for myself, and I was able to recognize in the moment, I was like, at no point have I felt the feeling of like stopping or being upset. It happened. Get over it. Like, what are you going to do now? So that's always the mentality I've approached a problem with. It happened, which is why, like, for a period of time, like, I struggled with understanding women a lot. It was like, okay, something happens and they're on it. They keep talking about it the next day, the next week. I'm like, dude, it happened. Relax. You can't change it. But how we respond to it is everything. And so I've just always been very optimistic. Like, okay, something happens, you get a flat tire on the way here. Oh, well, maybe I was going to get into a car crash 6 miles further and somebody else was going to die. Sounds ridiculous. I'd rather view it that way.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So that's my reality that I've created. But I don't know. I mean, that's just, I just kept going with what I knew, and I knew what I was doing was right. We were taking care of our people, and we had employees that depended on it. Not a lot, but a few good ones. And yeah, I like what I do.
Yeah. So you couldn't stay in Puerto Rico, huh? Couldn't hang.
No, and there was a lot of reasons for that.
Yeah.
I also moved down there at a weird time. Like, if I was going down now, the prices in that market has settled down.
Yeah.
When I first moved down there, I mean, it was impossible to find an apartment. Nobody down there is a registered agent. It's just like an agent that they just label themselves. So it's a nightmare to get showings. Most leases are signed without seeing stuff. Prices were, $25,000 for an apartment that now is renting for 10 to 12. Crazy difference.
Yeah.
And so like I just wasn't able to be in the area I wanted to be in, which was Dorado, where everybody lives. And, now I could do it, but like I was already going to be on the way out, and you got to pay, $150K initiation to be in the neighborhood. And it's like all sorts of things where I was like, dude, unless I'm going to like be here, because there's an amazing community there in Dorado specifically. I have a lot of friends who live there and they love it. Yep. But I was like, I don't see it. Yeah. I like to snowboard. I like to, be able to travel a lot of places, and you can get direct to Madrid and kind of connect up there. But I was like, I like cars. I like mountains. I like being able to drive and change my environment. And that was a big piece where I started to feel trapped. I didn't like that because there's an old video, I'll show it to you after, that I have on my phone that I've always had saved. 7 years ago, got my first place in Newport Beach. I'm on the beach. I have, not a care in the world, making good money, no employees at the time, no expenses. And I basically did a video of, the nice sunset off the balcony. And I said, the biggest blessing in my life is the ability to create or be in any environment I desire. That was the line. And for years, I forgot about it until it pops up in a Snapchat memory when I was in Puerto Rico. And I sat there one night, I was like, damn, like the reason that I did everything to create or be in any environment that I desire, I gave that up. For what? For taxes, for money.
Yeah.
Damn. Like what a trade. You give up freedom for something you think is going to give you more freedom. That hurt.
That's a pretty crazy way to look at it, right?
Yeah.
You give up freedom for something that you thought would get you freedom.
Yeah.
Right?
And in a big way. Like it was like, I really didn't enjoy most of my time there. Whereas now looking back, like I should have had fun. Dude, I lived on the freaking beach on the most beautiful coral reef. Yeah. Never saw it once. Like I'm talking about like, it's the building is on the beach. Like I'd walk on the beach.
Grinding.
Yeah.
Just in your world.
Thinking that I just staying there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Going to the gym. Like I got my health. That was a big piece of Puerto Rico for me. I got my health dialed. I got a little chunky, an extra 20 pounds and just didn't really understand health and what to eat and all that stuff. It's taking in a lot of processed sugar, 2019, 2020.
I'm sure the food in general in Puerto Rico is probably just better than America, right?
They eat a lot of fast food and fried food.
Do they?
I mean, I'll never forget this. There's 183 Burger Kings for an island of 3 million people.
Holy
Just
cow.
Burger King. I mean, it's disgusting. Like a lot of the stuff I saw there just didn't resonate with me. Like, I mean, it's not uncommon. You'd be at a light and somebody just throws their entire meal from Burger King out the window, like a huge cup and all this. I'm like, what the fuck are you guys doing?
Wow.
Like just disrespecting like their own, like Puerto Ricans. They talk about us destroying it. Like I got a lot of hate. I had hundreds of death threats. People like DMing me on Instagram regularly, say, I got a gun. I'm looking for you. Like crazy stuff.
Wow.
You're ruining our island. So there's just a lot of factors.
Yeah. Yeah. Puerto Rico sounds kind of crazy. I know a couple of people that live there. And both of the guys that I know that live there, they don't really like living there. They just make a lot of freaking money and they would be paying a lot of taxes. But to your point, it's like, is it worth the trade-off?
Yeah. And you have to look at it like I have a friend who's leaving. I mean, he makes 8 to 10 million a year net, does really well. But his problem right now is he needs to hire people in person. He can't get the talent there.
Yeah.
So he's relocated. He likes it. He bought a house there.
Yeah.
Like he loves it, but he has to leave. And so there's a lot of factors. A day trader who's an introvert anyways, and when they're not trading, they want to play video games. Perfect. You know what I mean? Like for certain people, it's good.
Yeah.
And for me, it was great for a while.
If you're going to build an operation, right? Like what is your take on that? I mean, like, you looked at my operation, obviously, and we have a couple of other offices. And I've always taken a pretty hard stance on you can't build an operation. You can build a remote operation, right? And do
virtually.
And do
no, you're
Slack.
right. You can't.
But like, it's never going to be like how I have it out here.
Dude, I would challenge anybody to like who actually has a larger than 10 person remote team to tell me you have like real culture and a team that gives a shit.
I doubt it.
You don't.
You don't.
That's just I take a hard stance on stuff.
Same.
Because I've seen it. I've been in it. Like, I've done that exact thing.
Yeah.
And I'm sure I did it wrong, but like I've seen how a lot of other companies do it. And like in person, nothing beats it. Plain and simple. All the stats support that. Like Elon Musk was the first big one to be like, you guys have to be in the office or you're fired.
Yeah.
Like, and there's a reason.
100%.
So, and by the way, it's impressive what you've done.
I appreciate that.
Like,
man.
even just to like set up the lighting in here and build the light bar, like all the little details, like, dude, that's a lot. Like, I know what goes into that. That's a lot.
Yeah. It takes a lot. Well, I appreciate it. It means the world. And yeah, I've taken a hard stance from the very beginning, and I've taken a very slow road. Right. Like looking back at my journey, and this podcast is not about me, it's about you. But, I've taken a very slow journey, and I would just, my recommendation for anybody. And I think that's why I've always loved what you've done. Right. Because you really are pretty similar to me in the sense that you know what you know. And you know that, hey, this path, like, sure, there might be that shiny thing over there and that shiny thing over there. But if I just keep on keeping on here, on doing what I know, I'm eventually going to pass all these other people. That are not that it's a competition anyways, but like if it were a competition, right?
You're going to get to where you want to go.
100%.
And people say, you hear different quotes along the way. Another illustration of that one, Alex Hormozy said something, I don't know when, it just stuck with me. He's like, dude, people come to me with software ideas, with real estate deals that like I like, that they would do well, and I'd like to put money in it. He's like, I can't put my focus there because if I just do the thing I'm doing, I'm going to get to where I want to go, regardless of timeline or whatever. Like this will get me there. Anything else, distraction.
Yeah.
Like what a great mindset. And I think as somebody who really has the business fortitude and someone who's going to be around, that's not even a question. They do that. And I know a lot of successful people that do that too. And that's why when I see these younger guys, they pop up online, no hate against them. They're making money and finally doing something that's awesome. But like they're all over and they're jumping around. It's like, there's just a lack of that. And I've seen it play out too many times where it just doesn't end well. It just doesn't.
No, never. No, take the slow road, man. The slow road will yield the result 99% of the time, Yeah.
And that's a big, also where you live matters. And this goes even outside of the Puerto Rico thing. Like, if you're in downtown Brickell in a building that has 17 4X guys that all gamble and go out every night, and that's your friend group, like, okay, you're going to be influenced by that.
Yeah.
So just be very careful on where you live. And I'll say this, oftentimes the cheapest thing is also the most expensive. And I've learned that goes with a lot of stuff. You buy a car. Let's say you're trying to get into, I don't even know, let's just take a GT3 RS. If you go buy the cheapest GT3 RS on the market, it's probably going to cost you the most to own. Maintenance and further depreciation. It's just a more undesirable one. So oftentimes it goes with anything, including apartments and environments, whatever. Like I've had bad experiences with trying to go for the cheap options.
Let's talk about cars for a minute too.
Yeah.
Talk to me about the GT3 RS.
Yeah, you have 3RS. Dude, it's a super fun car.
Yeah. Did you drive it here?
No, I took the R8.
Okay, got it.
It was a bit of a hike. So
Yeah.
that's
What year is the R8?
R8's a 2018.
Okay, got it. I had an R8.
Yeah.
I bought mine from Ricky. I don't remember what year it was. It was the older model, the older body style.
A V10?
No, mine was the V8.
Okay. I had the 2010 old, like a Gen 1, but a V10.
Oh, did
that
you?
thing was so fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, great car.
They're fun to drive.
They are.
My transmission went out like the day before I was about to sell it. So, yeah, it wasn't fun. Yeah, but it was like a long time ago.
Yeah.
But so you said a little while ago you wanted to eventually collect more cars.
For sure.
Right? Talk to me about that. I mean, like can you make money on cars for people watching, right? I've owned 27 cars. I'm 29 years old. And
sick, dude.
And I've had a lot of cool cars. And I'd eventually love to own I love freaking cars, man. I've lost a lot of money on cars. I'll be the first to say it.
Everyone has.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the majority of them, to be honest with you. I think I've only ever made money on like 3 cars out of the 27.
Yeah.
So talk to me about your journey with cars.
Yeah. I mean, cars, any young guy, especially in bit, like you love cars. For me, I'm not the car guy who's working on it. My brother was a mechanic, like certified technician at BMW for a long time. Now he's becoming a pilot like my dad. Like my family kind of comes from cars. Grandpa, big car guy. So I was never like a gearhead into that stuff, but I always loved cars, but I was very particular in what I liked. I don't like riced out JDMs that are stanced and unique stuff. I'm not huge on the crazy lifted trucks with, the rear attachment that comes way down for the trailer hitch. Like just, it's not my style.
Yeah.
So everyone has their thing, but yeah, like I bought the M4 when I was 17. That was like, I'd rented the car like 6 months prior and just fell in love with it. So it was that, then the Huracan. Then I bought a car for my grandpa. He was a big car guy. So I got him, whatever unique rare spec he wanted in the US, like some M series SUV from BMW.
Yeah.
So that was a big deal for me because he actually co-signed for my first LLC when I was 16. So I could like open a PayPal account and start receiving some money on a debit card and just like transact. I didn't need money, but I needed like a debit card and a way to do it. My parents weren't willing. So I told them when I make my first $1 million in profit in a year, I'll buy you a car. And I did that.
Wow.
So that was a fun one. Yeah, I'm a big fan of cars. Like the Ferrari F40 has always been like the little one. Like that's been like just the eye since I was a kid. It's like I always looked at that. They were like $400,000 when I first fell in love with them. Now they're $3 million. Can you make money on cars? Yes. Does it usually happen like that? No.
Right.
Like I only know one person who's never like overall has made a ton of money on cars. That's Jeff, JR Garage, Jeff and Christian.
Yeah.
That's what they do. Yeah, they buy auction stuff, flood cars. They do it with planes. They've had hundreds. They have like 60 cars right now.
Or Manny Koshman.
Yeah, there's many. Well, when you're buying the high-end specialty stuff and you have so many of them, you're not putting a lot of miles on them, right? And then you also factor that in Arizona, private party, no sales tax. Okay, that really helps your margin. It's a lot of factors. But I've owned about 15 cars, lost money on a few, broken even on plenty, made money on like 1 or 2.
Yeah.
Overall, it's been a loss. But what has it done for the business? You can't deny when you're in the social media space, you make more money from that. Hands down.
For sure.
Now which car gives you the biggest ROI? Like I've had like 3 or 4 GTRs, the other R8, like none of those really made a difference. But the big difference makers was my first M4, the Lambo, and that's probably it.
Yeah, the Lambo for sure.
Yeah.
Like there's something about the social media entrepreneur world You know, and people hate, right? You're always gonna have the haters. You're always gonna have the people that are like, and I get it, dude. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I've not been a hater, but I've been one of the people that talks about the truth out there too, right? Because I've walked around my office and made funny videos before of like, you know, just like I'll walk by like my printer and be like, that's a half a Lambo. I'll walk by my coffee machine. It's like, that's a half a Lambo. I'm gonna spend $1,000 a month on a cold brew coffee machine. You know what I mean? It's like, culture. You know, right? You know, like, and you can go get a Lambo for $2,500 a month. Like, I mean. So there are a lot of people that really shouldn't have a Lamborghini that have one.
Oh,
but
yeah, especially that car.
Oh my gosh, dude. The Huracan in particular. Like that is like the most, I don't know why, but like the Huracan, man, like there are more people that own a Huracan that should not.
Because there's no maintenance issues. So they're not, they won't have any unexpected surprises with cost. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's just a lot of people with it. And I think there's a way where like you do it too much. And like that becomes your personality. There's an ego around it. Like we know those people. Like that happens. You can spot it. But, you know, for me now coming back to Arizona, being able to get cars, because I slowly sold off my cars. I had like 4 or 5 cars when I moved to Puerto Rico. I held on to a Lambo for a long time. And eventually I'm like, dude, I use it 2 months a year.
Yeah.
Insurance was $900 a month. Just getting reamed.
Yeah.
I was like,
Did you have a lot of tickets or what?
Dude, I was just young.
Yeah.
It was $2,500 a month when I bought it from you.
Mine
so you remember when I bought it from you?
Yeah.
I called you. I hit you up because I was at Lamborghini North Scottsdale.
Yeah.
I wanted a car. The guy was trying to explain to me why his car was a good deal. I'm like, dude, you're so full of shit. So I pull up online.
Yep.
I'm trying to argue with a dealer, and I see your car. I'm like, oh, no way. I'm like, I know this guy.
Yep.
So I text you. I'm like, can I come look at it? You said tomorrow because you were busy. So I come tomorrow. I ask you to drive it, and so I drive it for like 20 seconds. As soon as I do a downshift and hear the burbles, I look at you. I said, I'll buy this car tomorrow in cash. I just need to make 2 phone calls. Insurance and CPA. So I talked to my CPA, who's long since been fired. He told me I could write off the whole thing.
Yeah.
Dirty dog. And the next one, insurance, which was a 4-hour series of phone calls to every single one out there.
Insane.
The only person who would do it was State Farm,
$2,500 a month.
I paid that for the first 4 months before I found a broker, and then it was like $1,000 for like the next 3 years.
$10,000 in 4 months.
Yeah.
Dude.
It didn't even matter, bro. I made so much more money just from the car.
Oh, for sure.
You know?
Yeah.
But like I watched, you know, being in Puerto Rico, there wasn't any spice to the daily life where I could like make quick reels or TikToks. Like the stuff works with cars and all that stuff. Like I wasn't doing anything. I was just working, like a nice apartment, whatever. How many times are you going to show the view of the ocean? Yeah. I had no car. Eventually bought a Ford Explorer. I had crazy potholes out there. I'm just going to the gym. Like, so there's no daily content, but you'll know this as a car guy. My day is better. I'm in a better mood. I have better energy, and I make more money when I have fun cars because I have better habits because of it. Because now I want to go to the gym because I get to drive a fun car to get there. And it's just like, there's just a little bright light in your day. Yeah. It's just amazing.
You know my favorite car I've ever owned?
What?
My Plaid.
Really?
Freaking love it, bro. I love it, dude.
Everybody roast him in the comments.
I love it. I don't care. I love it, bro. There's nothing better.
Don't tell me you're the guy.
I have a Model S Plaid, right? 1.9, 0 to 60. And I'm telling you right now, dude.
How long have you had it?
I've had it for almost a year.
All right. Then let's make fun of you for the depreciation you've taken on it.
Well, I bought it right when he dropped the price. So I paid $98,000.
Oh yeah, it's gone way down, bro.
Oh, for sure. It's worth 80. It's probably worth 80 right now. Yeah. I could sell it for 80, I think. That's it's a 2023.
Big drop in a year, bro.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. For sure. Yeah. No, I lost $20,000 on it for sure. Right? Yeah. Like already, you know, but some people paid $150 a year before me. They were $150. That's why I won't buy a Cybertruck. Because I want a Cybertruck, but I'm like, I'm not going to do it. Because I already know, I can already see it play out. Yeah. They're good. He's going to freaking cut those damn things. They're going to be $75,000 in a year and a half from now. Brand new. Yeah. I can see it.
It's interesting.
Yeah. What do you think about the Cybertruck? Like,
I had one on order, and I declined the order because I just for whatever reason didn't get the allocation right away. So it was like a month delayed. So I would have been, a little late. I still could have gotten out of it for maybe a 10K profit, but I had no interest in the vehicle. I wanted to like make content with it for a month and then flip it for like 20, 30K. Yeah. But when I saw the prices crater and I was trying to like guess, okay, by the time I actually take delivery, like, am I going to actually be able to get out of it for a reasonable number? It's not worth it if I'm breaking even because I need to tie up the money. And I was like, I just walked away from $1,000 deposit that I made for delivery. So,
do you like them?
They're interesting.
Yeah.
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 I don't really care about it either way. I mean, it's a cool vehicle.
Yeah.
I think it's just cool because it's different. Mm-hmm. So like I've always
very different.
Yeah. Like I don't.
Have you seen some of the mirrored ones that they've been doing? Oh, yeah. Like with like the mirrored wrap. Like, dude, there's one I saw. I think they literally. I saw a video. Maybe we can show it in the podcast right now. But I saw a video where I think they like sanded it down. Like they took how it's like that finish, like that metal finish. Yeah. They did something like with the metal, and they got it to where it literally looks like a mirror driving down the road. Like it has to be illegal.
They might have wrapped it as
Like,
mirror.
well, this one in particular, I've seen ones where they wrapped too,
Yeah.
but this one in particular, they sanded it where they buffed the hell out of it. They did something with the metal. They didn't do a wrap. And it literally looks like a mirror driving down the road.
Well, dude, a Cybertruck, you can do anything and go viral with it. Like, dude, you tow a Lambo behind a Cybertruck.
Yeah.
Guarantee you do a reel with that with music for 10 seconds. Guarantee you it goes viral.
100%.
Like, it's not hard.
No.
So,
Yeah, dude. Cars are a good time, man. What's the dream car? The F40?
I mean, there's a lot. There's a list of cars I really like. That's been like, since I was a kid, I've always been interested in that. I really want a Pagani Huayra. I have the opportunity to drive a Huayra, a McLaren Senna, and the Bugatti Chiron Pure Sport, a 101 new spec that just came off the line. All of those in 2 weeks in Chicago.
Wow.
So I'm excited for that. I've always really liked the Chiron. I thought it's like the older Bugatti, like the Veyron, timeless, but it's just not my style. When they came out with the Veyron, comfortable daily driver, but has the power. I was like, oh no, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
So I'd love to have some cars, probably about like a $15 million garage is probably get everything I want inside of there.
What's the goal? Like a decade from now to really have the collection? Like,
probably 10 years to actually build it. Cause people be like, oh, well, if I make 30 million after tax, I can get a $15 million car collection.
no, cause you got to live.
It's aggressive. And there's maintenance and where you're storing those cars, that costs money. Like it's a lot of stuff, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Just play it out. But I've wanted a Urus for a long time.
Dude, I had the Urus.
I know you had it.
I loved it.
Yeah.
I loved it. Only reason I sold it is because I had it for like a year, dude. Maybe a little over a year. And I get a call one day and my buddy was like, hey, dude, I'll pay you. It was like 15 grand more than I paid for it. And I daily drove. I mean, I put a lot of miles on it, right? Yeah. I probably put like 12,000 miles on it. And he's like, I'll pay you 15 grand more than you paid for it. I was like, done. Yeah. I was like, I'm done deal. I mean, I'm a business guy. Like,
it makes sense. Bro.
Yeah.
It makes sense.
But I loved that car, dude. Yeah. I got rear-ended in that car, just barely. Somebody rolled into me at a stoplight, but it was like 10 grand for the bumper.
Dang.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I fell in love with them when they came out. Air-conditioned seats, perfect for Arizona. And like, it's the perfect vehicle all around. It can be tame, but it cannot if you like it. And it's perfect. Most dynamic vehicle. But again, I watch what they do with the prices. You also got to factor in, cash allocation. I'm usually a guy who prefers to pay cash for my cars. Out of the 15 I've owned, I've financed maybe 3, and that's just my stance on it. Because usually I'm not searching for a specific car. It's like when I was trying to buy actually an M4, like a new M4. I almost bought Ricky's that he was doing the giveaway on. Deal just didn't work out. But I was like looking for a car, and that's when the R8 popped up. It's like, okay, I wasn't looking to quite spend that much. I wasn't looking for an R8, but it was a very good deal. I have multiple friends that would pay me a couple grand more than I paid for it whenever.
I've always wondered what a Urus would do on like Turo.
Probably pretty well. Problem is Turo doesn't quite cover the insurance, the value on it,
That's the problem
with their stated value. So
yeah, I've always thought about getting into Turo. I did a business tour with a buddy of mine. He actually shut it down. He just partnered with Andy Elliott on a bunch of stuff. But I met him through Turo. Maybe you've seen the video online, but he had 200 cars on Turo.
Wow.
He was here in the Valley. And he's a good buddy of mine. I actually called him the other day. I was like, hey, dude, because he shut the whole thing down overnight. And he went to go partner with Andy on a security company or something. And he's super well off. But like, dude, they had a legit operation. And so I called him. I was like, hey, dude, I'll buy some of your cars. Like, do you still have any for sale?
Take over the listings or something?
He had 200 on Turo.
Did just like the dealing with like storing those and cleaning those, keeping all the maintenance up to date is, a multi-person operation.
Oh yeah. He had 4 or 5 employees.
The thing is, it's not vertically scalable with each car. You have to go horizontal, and that creates a lot of logistical issues. So again, you will never see a guy who has a Turo business doing, $600 million a year. It just won't happen.
Never.
Ever.
Ever.
Same with Airbnb. Like again, pick your model.
It's not
that can
infinitely
work great
scalable.
for a while, but yeah, most people that get into car rentals, you lose your ass.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
what does a day look like for you?
Yeah, when I'm here in Arizona, love my days here. Usually starting at 6 or 7 in the morning. Sometimes it's 8, sometimes it's 9, but usually 6 or 7. Wake up. First thing I like to do is go for a walk, get a little sun on my face, 10-minute lap around the neighborhood, come back, and I get right to work. That's just always been my schedule. So yeah, I'll work for 3-4 hours, try to knock out the larger stuff. I don't really talk to people in that period. That's just my block. Again, if a call comes in, then it comes in, but I've always been big on scheduling my day the day before. I leave room for stuff, but I have my list of priorities and I get those done. 3-4 hours into the day, I'm eating my first meal. I usually just do 2 meals a day. So I'm like 3 to 4 eggs and, half a pound of turkey, maybe a little less than that for breakfast. It's kind of my thing. I'll meal prep a bunch of turkey burgers, half a pound a piece, and it's perfect for me. And then I'll go back, keep working for a couple hours. I usually hit the gym in the afternoon before the afternoon rush. So 1, 2, 3 o'clock, something in that window. It's usually when I'm doing my calls is between, 10 to 2 p.m. Now on Mondays, that's how I kind of stack things. Cause like for my coaching group that I have for e-commerce, I work with those people twice a week in a group setting. So I wanted to I used to do one-on-one for a long time, but it's just a scheduling nightmare and it's just, you're repeating the same stuff. And I figured there was a good opportunity for people to network. And dude, it worked so well when I put it together. People love it, just being able to talk and help each other. But yeah, so on Mondays we do that and I fit that in. So I schedule pretty much all my calls on Monday, like team review calls, talking to our sales leader, talking to our e-commerce guys. You have a call with all the guys that manage everything. And there's the coaching call. Just everything happens on Monday in like a 4.5 hour window. So I just don't travel on Mondays. If I do, it's late at night. And that's the day where I do a lot of the calls. So typical days, pretty relaxed. Into the afternoon and evening, it's open-ended, a lot of half working, where anything could pop up or, you hang out. I got a putting green in the backyard I just had installed, go putt for a few minutes, take a phone call. Yeah. So it's very casual. Now these days right now, the last little bit has been long.
Just grinding.
Just long work days. So I actually just spent 3 months in Asia, Middle East and Asia, and I just got back.
Okay.
So I was traveling for a few months and working a fair bit while doing that, but also trying to see everything. Brought my girl with me.
Where did you go?
Most of it. Egypt, Dubai, 4 places in Thailand, Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, Bali, Australia.
Wow.
I think that's it.
Dang.
So it was a minute. But it was cool. Part of that was strategic. I wanted to see Dubai and Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia as 2 strategic cities I might have an interest in living in. The answer is no. But I went there, spent time in each as if I was going to live there, rented a similar style apartment that I would get, a car, all that stuff. And the answer is no. But traveled for a bit, came back. So now it's been longer work days here for sure. For sure recently.
Yeah, I was just we did a 3-week trip. We went to Dubai, Thailand, and the Maldives.
Nice.
And it was a lot of fun. Yeah, we did a week in each.
Okay.
I could not live in Dubai either. I actually didn't really like Dubai.
It's pretty cheap, actually. I was surprised. People say it's a very expensive place. It's really not. Some things are expensive, but most things in daily life are less expensive.
They are.
$130,000 McLaren here is $110,000 there.
Yep.
Apartments aren't that much. You can be in a very specific spot and pay a premium. Most of the stuff nearby is not expensive.
Yep.
Right? Food, less than you think. Uber, less than you think.
Did you think people were rude at all?
There's definitely a poshiness.
Yeah.
I think it's more so the Arabic culture and how people act. It's they'll be really happy, but they still have a serious face.
Yeah.
It's that's just there's not a lot of expression.
I got a lot of that vibe.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just a little weird. I guess I wasn't used to that.
I think the stat, don't quote me on, is roughly 83% of people in Dubai are expats.
Yeah, they are.
Now there's all sorts of types of expats, but at least half those are very specifically there for money and that's it, and build it. They're using Dubai, which is fine.
Yeah.
You have to understand the dynamic of the place you live. Right? That's why I don't live in Miami. Right? That's why I'm very particular about where I live.
Yeah. I could never live in Miami.
Be interesting.
Yeah, for sure. I could do West Palm Beach and a $2 million house.
Yeah.
Right on the canal.
Tampa or Fort Lauderdale, maybe if you're in the right spot. I could do Boca. I could see that. I got some friends there.
But not in freaking a high rise in Miami.
Not the apartment life.
No.
North Miami and a house on the water, maybe.
Yeah.
I got a friend there, Tom. He does Section 8.
Okay.
Crushes it.
Oh, I know who you're talking about. Yeah.
He bought a $20 million house down there.
I saw that.
He's a little Miami guy now.
Yeah. He bought a big boat too, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. He's big in Section 8.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's a cool dude. I'd love to get him on the pod. Maybe you can make the intro eventually.
Yeah.
That'd be cool. Last question I like to ask everybody. So if you had a billboard, right, and everybody in the whole world could see it, what's one thing that you've learned in your lifetime? And it could be anything, right? It could be business, relationships. It could be, whatever, right? What's one thing that you think everybody should know?
This can sound so dumb, but the word that I've always had is consistent. Just consistency wins in any aspect. But you want your relationship to do well, you need to show up. And that doesn't just mean you being there physically. You need to be there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Attention on what's going on. Same thing with your fitness. You can't just work out for one day. We all know this. It's the simple stuff that tends to be the right stuff. And I've always that's always been true for me, And so I'm the same in business. I don't know. I like to work all day long. Even if it's a slow pace, where I do 6 hours worth of stuff in 12, I like to be there. I like to be active every day. I don't take a lot of time off because I like to do it every day. That's just me. But consistent action on anything is how you get a result. Most people are just not that way, right? They're just not wired that way. I think people have a big attention span problem, especially with TikTok and just everything's just amplified these days. So be consistent in whatever you're trying to do and ideally pick one thing.
I love that. Yeah. Phenomenal advice. Where can people find you?
Instagram's usually where I hang out. I'm trying to make more YouTube videos. I stepped away from that. We got 320 something thousand subscribers on there, but
Hayden Bowles.
Yep, Hayden Bowles
On
on
IG.
YouTube. No, on Instagram's Real Hayden.
Okay.
Yep.
Because your old one got hacked.
Old one got hacked. I was at Bowles.
You never got it back?
Never.
Wow.
Yeah.
How many followers did you have at the time?
Like 60,000. Story views were ripping. They're like 10 to 15.
Because all organic, just,
But also the annoying part with that is I had like so many chats in DMs with people in the industry, people you touch base with. They haven't met. I don't have their phone number, so I lose all of it.
Yeah.
And now I never really knew a lot of those people well. So like now they just don't see me. They don't know my page. It's just like I'm not a thought anymore.
Yeah.
So it's really hard to like kind of
to come back
get
from
into
that.
things. Yeah. And so, whatever, I stepped away. I was running the business, making money, focusing on e-commerce, but stuff was up and down. So you started putting attention back on Instagram and now we're back.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, you are. I follow you.
thank you.
Yeah, I watch all your stuff. Yeah, we'll make sure that we link everything down below. I appreciate you being on the show, man, and we'll have to do it again now that you're here.
Yeah.
And you live here and stuff. I want to get together more. Maybe we can make content together at some point. And
Let's do it.
yeah, appreciate your time, brother.
Hey, likewise. Thank you.
Thank you. And if you're still watching the show, make sure you comment down below, subscribe if you haven't already. Go follow Hayden, and look forward to seeing you in the next one.